Hey, welcome back to James's Repair Shop. Part 2, cleaning up the underbody of this Thunderbird. So, while you guys were gone, I've been working a little bit on this. A little update here on it. I welded all the plug welds for the floor pans that I didn't get done. I ground all the welding, both sides. There's still some bits of work that needs to be done in these areas. That's why I'm not going into a finished coat yet. I just want to get this in primer. And a lot of this is because I haven't been working on the car and I wanted to feel like I'm getting somewhere with it. So I chose this large area. It's fairly easy to work on, as you can see. It's dirty, it's a dirty job, but I chose this area to work on just to make me more motivated to get into it. Now I want to say though, next week I'm heading down to Arizona again for a short while. So I will be taking a break from this, and maybe I'll post some cabriolet videos. I'd have that part to fix the van door, the window in the van. I have that part. I've got some parts for the cabbie as well. So maybe I'll throw down some of that desert type repairs out in the remote desert. Anyway, getting back to this. What I've done, like I said, I did all the spot welding, or plug welding rather. There's a few spots that still need to be done on this car. There's this hole up in here. When it was sitting upright, I couldn't see it. I didn't see it, missed it anyway. So I have to cut that piece out and fix it. There's a few pinholes in the welds that need to be done. So I'm gonna get all that done. I went over this, I don't know how many times now, with sandpaper, wire brush, all kinds of stuff. So now I want to, and I also washed it down with LA Totally Awesome, but I didn't get up in here. So this needs to get cleaned out to get the grease out before I touch it with any kind of abrasive papers or anything, because you don't want that to spread back to all the work you just did. But all back here was all cleaned. It's been sanded in here. I want to do a little better job in here. So I'm going to try maybe a little bit of sandblasting up in this area. Maybe a little bit along these joints. But I do have some Por 15 that I bought for this job a long, long time ago when it was cheap, because it's not cheap now. So I'm going to probably give it a going over with sandpaper once more. Back here, I mean, in this area. And all these seams, I think I'll just hit them with Por 15, just to the rusted areas. I'm not going to bother with the sheet metal that's not rusted, because Por 15 is not for that. So that's what I'll do. I'll probably go right along this seam up here, along some of the frame rail, and in here on both sides, and in all the joints. This is good back here. It's cleaned right out. You'll see the black. So what I'm using that's on there right now, it is phosphoric acid and tannic acid mixture. So what it does, it turns the rust to iron phosphate. And it does a really good job of it, but it is messy. So I'm gonna have to clean that off. But it does turn any bit of rust that's left on there to iron phosphate, so it neutralizes it basically. It doesn't do a great job of taking the rust off, especially in this car where it's been hit, baked on. But it'll turn it black, like up in here, you'll see that it's gone right black. And any of the real dark spots, that would have been a little bit of rust left on it. And the bare metal, it actually just leaves a blue residue like I have right there, bluish black. But that's rust that's been turned to iron phosphate. Anyway, I'm going to get the sandpaper out again. I'm going to hit it back there along here. I'm going to hit it back here again in here. I'm going to try to get in here and sand a little bit more, top and bottom. And then I'm going to get the Por 15 out, and I'm going to do a coat, like I said. All right, let's get at her. Oh, before you go, Nick asked about my dust collecting system. So Nick, there's my dust filter system on the ceiling that I was telling you about. Now, I did take one filter out of the back, but these filters need to be changed. They're completely plugged. And when I started this job, those filters were not new, but they weren't very old. They weren't very dirty either, but now they're plugged. I also have over here is, I'm carrying the tripod with me, so it might be a little bit wonky for you guys. I have behind this column a 3500 CFM vent fan that pulls air out of the garage. Now you do have to open a door because there's a lot of air movement, but it does take the dust out. I'm not entirely happy with the way this is, even though I built it, but I'm finding that I need this top panel up in there. I need it to be on hinges so I can open it. So when I'm running engines, the gas fumes will be pulled out a lot quicker because, you know, gas fumes are lighter than air and they go right to the ceiling. Anyhow, let's get back on this and see if we can get it ready for a little bit of pour 15 along the joints and stuff. All right, well, I got a bit of sanding done. It'll be good enough for the pour 15. This car still needs some work right back in here under this plate on both sides. Not much, just a little bit of a, actually this side's good. This side here has there's a soft spot. So I'm not going to worry about getting right in underneath the rotisserie arm. So I'm just going to kind of get in as far as I can with the pour 15. I'm going to stay on this side of the frame rail. This side of the frame rail was done when I first got the car. I did a test of pour 15. It's the same as the day I put it on, but mind you, this car hasn't been driven, but this car won't be driven in any kind of bad weather or anything, so most it's going to see is probably rainwater. Anyway, so I'm just going to do all the areas, like the joints, all these seams where they've been spot welded all the way around, in through here, and then all the metal like here and this, I'm just going to hit it with red oxide. I'll hit the pour 15 on this lip here because it had rust in it, and right down into here. So it's not going to take much of the pour 15. So I have, I bought the pints because when I did this stuff here, I had a quart of it, and I did the yellow truck with it. And I had a quart of it, or a liter, and it end up losing about half of it because once you open it, as you know, it starts to dry out, or cure, I should say. Anyway, so this was a 6-pack of small ones. I think they're little 118 milliliters, 118 milliliters. So all right, let me get a can open and some gloves on because I don't want this stuff on my hands. And I'll just get a small brush and I'll go in around there and do all those spots. Don't forget you stir it up. I almost forgot, and it's pretty thin if you don't stir it. No, the pigment's not there. I think the protectant's there, but the pigment's not, so I'll have to go over that area again. There we go. That's better. Brought the pigment back up to it, floating around. This can will probably be all, it'll take every bit of it to do this. It looks pretty good. And I'll go right over that with the red oxide when the time comes. Well, it's been a couple days now since I did the pour 15. So I'm just coming back and I went over all the rest of the sheet metal here with a scuff pad, just one of these green ones, Scotch-Brite scuff pad. But now, before I put primer on, I'm going to have to dull up the pour 15 a bit. To give it a little bit of tooth for the primer to sit into. So I'm going to have to go over all that just quickly, and then I'm going to have to clean it down. I cleaned the tunnel up in there, and I've done that a couple times now, and I'll show you something. So I've cleaned the tunnel up pretty good. It needs to be scuffed down, but I thought I had it the first time, but look at the dirt on the floor. I don't know if you can see it or not. So every time you go over these old cars, you're going to find more dirt. So at some point you have to say enough's enough. It's an old car, right? If it was going to be a concourse restoration, well, I would have had this dipped if it was concourse restoration. Dipped and neutralized and rust proofed, and do all the seam sealer and all that stuff over. But I think the last time I checked on acid dipping around here, and the closest place is Calgary, and that's like a 5 to 6 hour drive each way. I'd have to take it over to Alberta, drop it off, and then go back and get it. And I believe at the time, and this was quite a few years ago, it was $3,500 to do a body this size. And that wasn't the fenders, hood, or any of that stuff, it's just the body. Now I'm gonna go over this Pour 15. Now, I was gonna use a Scotch-Brite pad, but I have these mesh, they're by Diablo, mesh just for orbital sander. So I'm gonna go over it with that because they'll be a lot quicker. So let me get that done. We'll get all this stuff dulled up a bit. Just a quick rub like this, you know. And just so the primer sticks to it. We get it all so there's no more shiny spots. And we'll get the paint gun out and see what we can do with it. Got it all scuffed up pretty good. There's a few spots maybe, I don't know. It looks pretty good to me. I ended up using the Scotch-Brite and the pad together. Actually did pretty good because you get into the, like right into the grooves with it. And then that's where you want to get that scuffed up because the primer will tend to shrink a tiny bit. And on all the corners like this, that's where it'll let go if it's going to let go. Probably not going to let go on a flat surface. So you want to get right into those spots. Pour 15. I've used it over the years a little bit. I had it on my 79 yellow truck, the old yellow one there, short bed truck. And it's holding up well. The thing I can say about Pour 15, and I experienced it right here, that's why I wanted to talk about it. There's a spot right in here that I Pour 15 just because I was in the process of Pour 15. And it was bare metal, shiny metal, and it had been smoothed from the sanding and stuff. Pour 15 won't stick to smooth metal. If you're going to try to hit Pour 15 on stuff like here, these panels like this here, it's not going to stick to it. So I think that's where Pour 15 gets kind of a bad name, is people will go ahead and they'll try to do it on shiny metal and it won't stick, it'll come off. But any place that's got rust on it, or had rust on it, even if it's rust treated, it has something to adhere to, it'll stay pretty darn good. Is it the best? I don't know. I haven't had them all. But I used it here because I had it, and I am confident a layer of Pour 15 on the rusted areas is better than nothing. So that's what I'm doing. So I can't say yes or no either way, because I'll probably get asked that question about Pour 15. What do I think of it? Well, I'm telling you right up front what I think of it. I think it has its place. And if you use it the correct way, I think it's fine. But if you're going to just blanket bomb the whole sheet metal with it, you're going to run into problems. And it's going to peel off on you because it won't stick. Because I was saying right here, like just scuffing this shiny spot that I had, it took it off. But the areas that in the same spot right here that had rust on it, pitted, it's not coming off at all. And I'd have a heck of a time getting it off. So anyway, it's not a big deal. So all right, now I'm gonna go over this with, I think lacquer thinner, give it a clean down, blow it off, and then go over it with lacquer thinner. Then I'm gonna dig out my 3M AccuSpray. I've never used it. You've probably seen it hanging on my dust collector over there. I'm not sure what tip to use for this primer. I'm going to say 1.8 millimeter, but we'll see. I'm going to do a little research and we'll get some red oxide on this thing. Well, here's the AccuSpray system. There's cups and there's extra nozzles. And I was just reading the back, and the back kind of directs me to a 1.4 nozzle, which is already on there. Now these are disposable, but what I understand is you can clean them out and use them a few times. The nozzles. So that's what I'll be doing, especially on primers and stuff like that. Maybe on a real high-end paint job, you wouldn't probably do that, but look around. This is no high-end paint jobs here. All right, let me get this opened up, and I'm going to grab the 1.4 and the cups, and we'll get a little paint in it, and I'm going to check the air pressures. Maybe I can find it right here. Something tells me it's fairly low air pressure on these things. All right, well, I'll check it out, see what the air pressure is, but basically, as far as air pressure, I'll be testing it anyway. Well, here we are. I got the gun kind of figured out. I'm going to stick with the 1.4 millimeter tip, because I am going to thin this primer down a little bit with some acetone. Get my gloves back on here. So here's the paint cup that comes with that 3M sprayer. And it has the increments. There's a sleeve in there that has increments on it and everything. So I'm just going to kind of estimate, probably going to use, well, I'll see. I'll sample it as I stir it. But I have to get it stirred up first. So this paint's been sitting, this is a it's a red oxide primer. This is beaver lumber. So this is not new, this is old stock. So this should have all the good minerals and harmful carcinogenics in it. Anyway, I'm gonna get it stirred up and then I'll get back to it ready to spray. All right, well, I've got the red oxide stirred up. It's pretty thin. I'm gonna put a little bit of acetone in it, and I'm expecting to use most of this liter anyway, so I'm not gonna worry too much about mixing it in a cup. I'm just gonna mix it in a can. And the next time I use it, if there's any left, it'll already be mixed for the most part. But that's not bad, like that's dribbling off there pretty nice. But I am gonna put a little bit of acetone in it, just a tiny bit. This was a full can when I started. I think I took a little out, brushed out a little bit of it. There, that's probably enough right there. Because that'll thin it down quite a bit more. Yeah, it did. You can feel it once it gets mixed in. Yeah, that's pretty good there. So yeah, the 1.4 tip is probably the right one for this because it's thinned down like automotive paint there now. Running right off the stick, yeah. So it'll be good. So I got some filters out because you always want to filter your paint before you put in your gun. I think you just save yourself a lot of mess if you filter it ahead for all the filters cost. Everything costs money, there's no doubt about it. If you're doing this work, you already know how much this stuff costs. All right. Well, now that I have the mix I need, I don't have to worry too much about it. I'll just pour some in the cup and I'll go at it. And it doesn't really matter. I don't really have to measure it. I just have to pour it in. I got a couple of filters just in case I have to put more in. And these cups are lined. I think I mentioned that. They have a liner on them, in them. So you can clean the cup back out. I'll probably start with about a half a liter in here. I think it's a 30-ounce cup. I don't know what that is in metric. Probably says on here, but I don't have my glasses on. So yeah, filter your paint. As you can see, it takes a little bit. All right, we'll get this filtered and see how she goes. I got some paint in there, spilt a little bit, of course. You know, that's how you do it. Just so you know, also these cups are screened, but hey, you don't want to be fiddling with that screen while you're painting. That paint was thick. That's where all those special carcinogenics, I guess, maybe I'm filtering them out, I don't know. But I think next time I would, with an old can of paint like that, I would filter it ahead, just to speed up the process. Anyway, it is what it is right now. What did I do with the head for this? Right here. Just put it on. I should have glasses on because I can't see anything. There we go. There, she's locked in place. Make sure the ring is tight. Now, you're probably thinking, well, you're not having any personal protection on. Well, I'm going to. But right now, I want to set the air pressure, so that's what I'm going to do right now. Check for leaks. My air hose. And I'm definitely going to wear a mask and air filters and actually use the carbon filters. But for now, I want to check the air pressure. So, where's my glasses? So I cannot see that dial. All right. So right now I'm running at about 90 pound PSI, but at the line. So I'm just gonna turn the air on, and the air is full on. I'm gonna turn it back down to 20. So I'm setting the air at actually just under 20. You see how that goes. All right, so to set the air or the paint flow, hold it all the way wide open and turn that in till it hits it. So that's full paint flow right there. And this is your fan size right here. Let's see if we can get some, test our pattern. So I already have the paint flow set. That's not bad. Maybe a little bit more air pressure, but I'm trying, the less air pressure, the less overspray. Not bad there, actually. And there's not a lot of overspray. I think for the first coat, I'm going to leave it like that. Well, now I'm going to get all my PPE on and get the fans wound up and go from there. Well, that went pretty good. I think that's there's a little bit thin. I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to thicken it up some. Up here is a little thin. But overall, that's a pretty good primer job. Just looking it over here. So that was about a half a liter to do all that. So I'm going to let it sit a bit. I'm going to filter some more paint. And I'm going to do another coat. Because I do see some thin spots in it. And I intentionally started out thin, but it was going on so nice. And I have to say, that gun, or that AccuSpray, well, there was hardly any overspray in the garage. There was some, but yeah, I'm quite impressed with that. And it went on so smooth. I adjusted a little bit as I went, but wow, that looks good. So let me filter some more paint out. I'll grab a couple more filters and yeah, I'll filter it into that container because it's already wet. And I'm going to do one more coat. But by the time I get that filtered, it'll be all flashed off. All right, well, I'm reloaded, ready to go again. I thought I'd just give you a different angle while I'm doing it this time. So let me get my PPE on and get the fans all on, and we'll give this a second coat. And that'll be good for this one. Well, that turned out pretty good. There's still work needs to be done on the floor of this car, but I knew that, but I wanted to get this primer on. Well, that turned out pretty good. Look at it. Thumbnail. Anyway, that AccuSpray paint sprayer, I liked it. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't consider it like top of the line, but who am I to say? I've never had a top of the line one. That's the best I've ever had. Better than the, much better than the Princess Auto ones I've been using. I set the air pressure at right just under 20 PSI, and it went on pretty good. The only thing I would say, and that's my own selection, nothing to do with the gun, is I would go to a 1.8 tip instead of a 1.4 for this type of cover. Yeah, I think it would go on a little better, and then you could actually work with the volume, the spray volume. I had it pretty much wide open just to get coverage. But the minimal amount of overspray, I'm actually quite shocked. In the garage here, I covered a lot of stuff up. I did have my fans on, and there's nothing on, like, well, hard to tell because the place is pretty dirty. But anyway, it doesn't appear to be any red oxide on very much. Lots on the back filter of that dust collector up there. But anyway, heading back down to Arizona, January 21st, probably in a couple days from when you guys see this. Going to spend a couple or 3 weeks in the desert again, or in the Yuma, Quartzsite, Southern California area. Phoenix, of course. I have to get this where the van is. And so I'll be out in Quartzsite. Beverly's coming with me for 1 week, and then she's flying back up to Canada here for after a week. And I'll spend a couple more weeks, and I'm planning on bringing the van back this time. And because I won't be going back down again, so I may as well bring it home with me. Anyway, everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.